please go watch the video on my page right before this one for context. You know, the Trump's base, and we all see him here on TikTok, with the protests going on in Los Angeles all week leading up to yesterday's, so it's about 2:45 in the morning on Sunday morning. The protests in Los Angeles started a week ago in response to ICE raids a week ago on Friday, where ICE, agents with their masks on in an overwhelming show of force demonstrated how strong and powerful Donald Trump and his administration are by raiding various Home Depot locations and picking up day laborers. Okay. And the protests that responded to that, Trump sent in the National Guard, and then he sent in the Marines, and we all saw the chuckleheads on TikTok making their little videos, the inbred fart huffing mouth breathing MAGA chuds, posting little videos like doing little math problems on their screen. A plus R plus 15 equals no protests in the small town where I live because we follow the law, after they voted for a convicted felon and adjudicated rapist who owes the state of New York $600 million for fraud, whose own company was convicted on 17 counts of fraud, felonies, who tried to overturn the last election and incited an insurrection at the U.S. Capitol and was indicted 91 times in 4 separate jurisdictions before being convicted on 34 felony counts. We learned this week that Donald Trump supporters, that law and order is very important to them, without a hint of irony. And the just enthusiastic videos that we saw from them, where they were expressing how they can't wait for active duty United States Marines to go into Los Angeles and start shooting and killing American citizens with whom they disagree politically. And, Donald Trump is a coward and a bully, and all of his supporters are also cowards and bullies. I just kept thinking back to, I don't know, a year or two ago, when Trump and Stephen Miller and all of his people, before the election, and I think it was Aurora, Colorado, and they said, this violent Venezuelan street gang, Tren de Aragua, had completely taken over the town of Aurora, Colorado. And then all these bikers said that they were going to go rescue. They were going to go rescue and save Aurora, Colorado. And of course, nothing happened. Nobody did anything. They all just made their content. And, that's what the last week has been. It's just it's like, so a question for MAGA. The Marines went to Los Angeles and literally have done absolutely nothing but guard one single federal building. A federal building that is located 15 miles away from where the actual protests were taking place. So what's your assessment of how well the Marines performed this week? Did they go in and teach those LA lib protester commie socialist Marxists a lesson? I watch a lot of news. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that occur. I've just seen, the only violence that we've seen since a week ago Sunday, yeah. Some people waving Mexican flags torched some Waymo cars in Los Angeles. the downfall of America. I mean, the only violence that we've seen since then has been from LAPD and the LA Sheriff's Department against peaceful protesters. That's the only violence we've seen this week. It's just, I mean, Donald Trump is a bully and a coward. So are all of his supporters. But they just live and die for the image of strength and power. Images of strength and power. Which culminated yesterday with Donald Trump sitting on a half-empty stage watching a military parade that nobody came to, sitting there looking absolutely miserable, while 5 to 10 million Americans in every location across the entire United States turned out to protest against him. And he was sitting up there in his diaper and his catheter, watching squeaky tanks roll down empty streets past empty bleachers. What a joke. What an absolute joke. But it's going to be interesting. I mean, it won't be, actually. Because, I mean, if there's one thing that Donald Trump's supporters are as good at as he is, it's ignoring reality. They will not acknowledge that they posted all of those videos that said A plus R plus 15 equals we don't have these protests where I live because we followed the law. Even though we voted for a convicted felon and an adjudicated rapist, the rule of law is extremely important to us. I mean, yeah, he tried to overturn the last election, but, you know, whatever. That was patriotism to these people. And all the videos, all the bloodthirsty videos that you inbred hillbillies made about how you can't wait to see the Marines go in there and start kicking ass. The United States Marines deployed on the streets of an American city to do violence against other Americans. And I mean, some of the TikToks that I saw from Trump supporters this week, I am utterly convinced that there are hundreds of you who actually masturbated this week, envisioning that violence. That's how bad you were wanting it. And dud, nothing. If you're a Marine on the ground in Los Angeles right now, guarding a single federal building that was 15 miles away from any protests, my heart goes out to those guys, those men and women who actually volunteered to serve this country, and they're being shuttled around to do literally nothing by a fat, draft-dodging piece of garbage who thinks that they're suckers and losers, but who's going to use them anyway for his little spectacle. He has the full power of the executive branch of the United States government and the full power of the office of the President of the United States behind him, and he can't even get this done right. He couldn't get any violence this week. It's the most pathetic shit that I've seen in my entire life.